What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to the Bit of Footy YouTube channel. In today's video, we're going to be running through my full predictions for the 2024 AFL Final Series. Should be an absolute ripper of a final series, this one. I can't wait to watch it. It starts tonight. But yeah, should be an absolute ripper of a final series to watch. In this video, I'll be running through my week-by-week tips, and by the end, you'll be able to see who I think is going to make it to the 2024 AFL Grand Final, the two teams who I think will make it to the Grand Final, and then you'll be able to see who I have tipped to be the premiers for this season. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy this video, and let's get straight into it. All right, first week, it's sort of pretty self-explanatory who I'm going to tip, because I already tipped my week one tips in the video I made about my week one predictions. So yeah, this will not take a lot of time, but let's run through my tips. We start off with the first qualifying final between Sydney and GWS at the SCG. I remember I tipped the Giants to win this one. I just feel like I said in the video of my week one predictions, I just feel like this is such a Giants game to win. It's, you know, it's at the SCG. It's against their crosstown rivals. It just seems like a Giants game to win. So that's why I went the Giants to win this one. And the Giants go through to the preliminary final, and the Swans will get a second chance in the semi-final. In the first elimination final, we've got the Lions taking on the Blues at the Gabba. And I remember in that video, I did tip the Lions to go through against the Blues. I think the Blues could be a sneaky chance at winning, depending on who they get back in their team, obviously. But in the end, it's at the Gabba, and I feel like the Lions, you know, they were just sort of clicking at the back end of the season, whereas the Blues, they could be 50-50 in games like this. So yeah, I went the Lions to win this one and to move on to the semi-final versus the Sydney Swans. Then we've got the second elimination final between the Dogs and the Hawks at the MCG. What a ripping game this will be. Yeah, it should be an absolute beauty of a game of footy. It's at the MCG, so it could work in the favour of the Hawks, but I think, well, not I think, in my tipping video for week one, I did go the Dogs. Yeah, I think the Dogs, with the experience that they have, and, you know, a lot of their players have, in the finals, they should get the job done. I do think it's going to be a close one. Friday night at the MCG, I feel like the Hawks are going to put out all the stops, but I think the Dogs will be a little bit too good in the end and pinch it by a close margin. And then in the second qualifying final, we've got the Power taking on the Cats at the Adelaide Oval. I tipped the Power to win this one, and I'm going to do the same here, obviously. I just feel like they'll be a little bit too good for the Cats at home in front of their home fans at the Adelaide Oval. I think the Cats will do a decent job. You know, they normally play pretty well in Adelaide. So yeah, it should be a decent game of footy, but I think the Power, it's their time to win a qualifying final, and I think they will this season. Then we move on to the two semi-finals. We kick it off with the first semi-final, which is between the Sydney Swans and the Brisbane Lions at the SCG. I presume it will be. I don't think it would be at a core stadium. That would be a little bit weird. I think the Swans will win this one. I think it'll be a little bit tough for the Lions. I wouldn't be surprised if the Lions got the job done. In fact, I do think this is a decent matchup. We saw the game at the Gabba where the Lions only won by a margin of 2 points, but what a terrific game that was. That was an afternoon game. I'm presuming this one will be like a night game or a twilight game, whatever it may be, but I think the Swans will not want to, you know, obviously not want to get eliminated in straight sets, and I don't think that's going to happen in front of their home fans. I think the Swans are too good to let that happen, especially how they have went this season, finishing first on the ladder. So I think the Swans will go through to a preliminary final against Port Adelaide. Then we've got the second semi-final between the Cats and the Dogs. I'm presuming that this will be at the MCG, unless the AFL do a bit of a trickery and put this one at GMHBA, but I don't think that would happen in a little while. As good as the Cats have been towards the back end of the season, I feel like the Dogs midfield could do some real damage in this game against the Cats. It could go really other way. If the Cats, you know, were to get control of it, well, this is presuming that this final were to happen in the first place, but if it did, if the Cats were to get control, control the tempo, make it a slow-paced game. I think the Cats could get it done, but I think the Dogs, I feel like their midfield would get the job done over the Cats in this one, especially at the MCG, a bit of a wider ground. I feel like the Dogs, it would suit them well. So yeah, I would tip the Dogs if this final happened in this one. Then we move on to two spicy preliminary finals, and I say that for two different reasons. The first preliminary final we have is a rematch of the 2016 preliminary final. Oh baby, wouldn't this be an absolute beauty to re-happen again, to relive again? We've got the Giants taking on the Dogs, presumably at NG Stadium. What a matchup this would be. These two teams match up against each other so well with their playing styles as well. It would be an absolute, I don't know what word to use right now, but it'd be an absolute beauty. I think this time around, though, I think the Giants would get the job done. I think they've had a lot more experience to date. From that 2016 preliminary final that they had against the Dogs. And I feel like this time around, it'd be a different result from that 2016 preliminary final. I feel like the Giants would get the job done and move on to the 2024 AFL Premiership Grand Final presented by Toyota. I don't know why I did that, but whatever. Then we've got the second preliminary final between the Power and the Swans. We know what happened earlier this season when the Power absolutely piled the points on against the Sydney Swans at the Adelaide Oval, remarkably winning that game by 112 points, keeping the Sydney Swans to a score of 36 points in total, while scoring 148 points in total themselves, the Power. I obviously don't think a 100-point margin would happen in a preliminary final. I don't even know when the last time was that happened, or even has it happened before. I don't know. I feel like it would be a lot more closer. I feel like the Swans will really take it up to the Power this time, but I feel like the same result will happen. Obviously a little bit closer, but I feel like the same team will win. I feel like the Power would get the job done in front of their home adoring fans at the Adelaide Oval and go through to the 2024 Grand Final. This is why Week 1's so important, because if the Swans don't win Week 1, it could have them ending up in a bad spot. That's what I'm trying to say here. So yeah, I feel like Port Adelaide would get the job done in that game at the Adelaide Oval and move on to the 2024 AFL Grand Final, where we've got these two teams facing off at the MCG. I don't know what the crowd would look like. Well, we've got the GWS Giants taking on Port Adelaide. Jesus, this could go really any way. It could go really any way. The Power, they're good enough on their day, but the Giants, the way that they play is just exciting. And the Orange Tsunami at the MCG, wowee. They've had experience at a grand final before. In fact, a few of their players would have a lot more experience in a grand final than Port Adelaide. I'm just saying. Technically, that is true. I feel like it would be a close one, obviously. It's a grand final between two non-Vic clubs as well. It'd be interesting to see as well. But I feel like the way that the Giants play, it would hold up well in a grand final against the Power. I know, obviously, there would be a lot more Port Adelaide fans there. Because, they've got a lot more supporters than the Giants do. But I just feel like the way that the Giants play, I feel like it would do them good in a grand final. So that's why I'm tipping the GWS Giants to get the job done in the 2024 AFL Grand Final. My pick, ladies and gentlemen, for this season to be the premiers is the GWS Giants. But who knows, my tips could be completely wrong. There's always a surprise in the final series. So let me know what you guys think of my tips. Let me know who you guys think are going to be premiers this season. And let me know of any surprises that you think are going to happen during this year's 2024 AFL Final Series, because there always is a surprise in the making. But yeah, thanks guys for watching this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and hopefully you guys enjoy the 2024 AFL Final Series. If your team is in it as well, good luck to you. But yeah, cheers.